Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well on this Wednesday, and it's time for us to go over yet another college football watch schedule. These are my recommended games to keep an eye on if you want to watch college football this upcoming week with an eye on prospects that I think should be of interest to the Seahawks. So, week number 5 in college football, let's go ahead and get started here. There's a few games on Thursday, but I didn't really see that much that was compelling. So whatever you want to watch on Thursday, if you want to watch on Thursday, not any great teams playing, but you can probably find something worth your time. Friday is when the party starts, and it starts on ESPN at 4 p.m. Pacific. Louisville versus North Carolina State. I believe they are the Wolfpack. There's one player on that NC State team that I've had my eye on. He's an interior lineman guard, Dylan McMahon. I think he's one of the better guard prospects in this upcoming draft, and definitely somebody that I'm going to continue to keep my eye on because I think that's going to be a big need for the Seahawks in this upcoming offseason. And then after that game wraps up, we should be having another game kicking off, also on ESPN, 7:15 p.m. Pacific. Cincinnati, the Bearcats, they're playing BYU. And Cincinnati, they've definitely had years where they've had way better stuff on their roster than what they have this year. But Dante Corleone remains one of my interesting nose tackles for this year. Um, he's not quite as good as Tyleik Williams or T'Vondre Sweat, but I like Dante Corleone a lot. He's had a pretty good start to the year. That's going to be the one guy I recommend you keep your eye on if you're looking for Seahawks, potential Seahawks targets. And then that gets us to Saturday, and Saturday is another packed schedule, a lot of fun, interesting games to keep an eye on. It's going to be very, very active for remotes. If you have a remote arm that you need to keep in, like, if you need to like keep that thing in shape, you need to keep that thing stretched out because you're going to be flipping back and forth a lot if you want to catch all the action this Sunday. So September the 30th, last day of the month, Saturday, starts at 9 a.m. like it always does. We got a big game on ABC. Clemson and their really, really intriguing defensive talent is going up against Syracuse. Now, Clemson obviously not a great team this year, but their defense is more than enough to make them consistently must-watch TV. Orohoro Davis on the defensive line, Trotter Jr. and Carter on the linebackers, and Makuba at safety. And by the way, while we're here, I don't want to get anybody too excited about anything, but Clemson's quarterback is a guy who could be a name in the 2025 draft. So not the worst idea to keep an eye on him. As of right now, a lot of people think he's going to be a first-round pick in 2025. So we'll see how that develops, but worth watching. And Syracuse, of course, has Gadsden the second, one of the better tight ends in this class. I believe his first name's Oronde Gadsden the second. So, little bit going on there as well. He's had an up and down start to the season, I think, but very compelling game just on the Clemson front. At 9 a.m. also, we have a Fox game, USC with Caleb Williams and Kalen Bullock versus Colorado. Now, that's not a ton, and Caleb is kind of off the radar right now. The Seahawks have already won 2 games, so they're probably out of the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, even hypothetically. Like, at this point, I think if you as a Seahawks fan are thinking about Caleb Williams at all, you're just wasting your time. But Bullock is one of the better ball hawk safeties in college football this year, so he's worth watching. USC in general is worth watching. And Colorado, while they don't really have anybody that I'm targeting, by the way, for those of you who may be wondering, Shedeur Sanders, it's already been said he's going to go back for college football next year. So he's a 2025 guy, not a 2024 guy. But Colorado does have some guys who are interesting, if not now, then later. So that's going to be kind of must-see TV anyway. I mean, this Colorado, the air has been let out of the balloon just a little bit here, but they're still must-see TV for reasons outside of the typical things, I think. 12:30 p.m. ABC. We've got Kansas playing Texas, and Kansas is pretty good this year. They're ranked. Kansas actually has a few players who may become watch list guys. Not yet, but Kansas has a couple of guys who are at least going to get drafted, and some of them may eventually become watch list guys for me. We'll see how they do this week. And of course, Texas has many of my favorite guys: Quinn Ewers, Jatavion Sanders, T'Vondre Sweat. T'Vondre Sweat in particular, I think, has been awesome so far this year. And I feel like there's real potential for T'Vondre Sweat to be a great run stuffing nose tackle in this league. And we need defensive line help in the worst way. So one of my top targets so far. So that's at 12:30 on ABC. Also at 12:30 on CBS, we have Georgia versus Auburn. Now Auburn, there's really not much cooking over there right now, but Georgia alone has so much fun stuff they brought to the table with Bowers, Van Pran on offense, and then Stackhouse, Mondin Jr., and Bullard on defense. They have another linebacker as well, Dumas, who I should probably start adding to this list because he's becoming an interesting pro prospect as well. But even without him, this game is compelling enough on the Georgia side. And Auburn is not terrible to the point where Georgia's expected to win by 50 points. Like, Georgia should get a little bit of a game here, even though I'm sure they're ultimately going to win pretty easily. So that's at 12:30, and then the next game I have here is at 3. So I guess you're kind of hoping that these two 12:30 games are over by then. But I'm not convinced that's going to be the case, admittedly, so you're going to have to juggle things a little bit if you want to check in on this ESPN 3 o'clock game. LSU, they've got, Daniels, excuse me, not Daniel. They've got Jaden Daniels at quarterback now. He's officially a watch list guy. You've got Smith and Wingo on the defensive line. LSU's got a really good defensive line this year. Mason Smith, Mekhi Wingo. And then Ole Miss, their opponent, they've got those two tight ends that I think are going to be day 2, day 3 guys, Presscorn and Trigg. So this is a really compelling game, I think. And if these two games are non-competitive, or at least one of them is non-competitive, I recommend you promote this one to the television. And then we have got a game at 4:30. This one's going to be really fun. Notre Dame coming off that brutal loss versus Duke. Notre Dame has really good players on that team. Don't get me wrong. I want to be clear about that. They just don't have anybody that I'm personally targeting. Joe Alt is probably going to be a top 10 pick. They've got some cornerbacks on that team that are good, but overall, it's just not the stuff I'm targeting. And the fact that we get to see Duke against a really good team is going to be great. Riley Leonard, Graham Barton, and Dwayne Carter. He's a new watch list guy. He's somebody who I'm starting to take note of over there on Duke. So really fun stuff going on in this game as well. Definitely want to see if Duke can continue to dominate through the on the ground against a team like Notre Dame. 6 p.m. ESPN. So about the time the LSU Ole Miss game is starting to wrap up, we get Alabama versus Mississippi State. Alabama's got Dallas Turner, who is an edge, so I don't know how amped we are on that one, but Malachi Moore is becoming one of my favorite safeties in this draft class, so Alabama kind of becomes must-see TV because of that. Mississippi State's not a terrible team, so they might give Alabama a little bit of a game too, so that's going to be good to watch. And if you have Pac-12 Network, there's one game at night that I'm going to be watching anyway, and if you're not watching it, maybe you'll be in my stream watching me watch it. Washington Huskies playing the Arizona Wildcats. So, Washington side, obviously, you have Penix, and you have Braylon Trice as an edge that I think is going to be very coveted in this draft. And Arizona has a nice little guard prospect in Jordan Morgan. I like this guy. He popped onto my radar pretty recently. I'm liking what I'm seeing. So, there's a little something to watch on that side as well. And that's my recommended watch schedule for college football this year. This week. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys think I'm missing something. See you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos coming later today.